You gotta sit up a little more though, because I always feel like I'm standing way too.
It's because you're like 8 feet tall, okay?
Yeah,
Hold on. I can make myself look like I'm 4 feet tall.
I, that's what it feels like. I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta get down here.
Welcome back, everybody, to Embrace the Storm podcast. I'm here with my very tall co-host, Jeremy Weems.
How's it going, guys?
And we are back for another episode. And as always, Jeremy, how was your week?
Week was good. You know what? I got some new challenges headed this way, and something I embraced and jumped into. So we'll get into that yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I started the week off. I didn't know what I was going to be doing work-wise. I had a few things, but it picked up a little bit as we went and slowed down a little bit at the end. So it's okay. I got a nice.
Is that something, because real estate is commission-based.
Yeah.
I was actually having coffee with another commission-based type gentleman the other day, yesterday, and I was thinking about this question. I'll ask you, when you first started, it probably freaked you out that you didn't have anything lined up for the week. Does it still kind of freak you out?
It depends. If I know I'm getting paychecks coming, then it doesn't. But when I know those paychecks are not as many, then you kind of you hustle a little differently.
Yeah.
But a week like this, I was able to finally get things organized on my desk and such, which is something I've been meaning to do. I got a few other things done. I got a bunch of other videos shot that I've been wanting to get done too. Like I took the opportunity when it's slower to do some of the things that I kind of push off.
Yeah.
And so it's not that it's slower in the regards as things that have to do for that make money right now.
Yes.
But it gives me time to catch up on the other things that are important that I often don't like to do, so I push off a little bit.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So the week came together, though?
It did, yeah. Overall, I was happy. I know next week's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit busier.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. So, yeah, I think spring, the weather got a little bit cooler this week at the beginning of the week. And as soon as that happens, it slows things down. We're looking into a beautiful weekend. And next week.
Oh my gosh. Like, for those of you that are here, you know, but for those that aren't, like the sunshine and the warmer weather makes such a world of difference in our communities.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden we have neighbors again. We have people to talk to again. Like people are walking and riding bikes. And, like it's just so amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. Like because and it's so funny in real estate. Like it's as soon as we just drop like 5-7 degrees, like the phone just goes quiet, and then all of a sudden it goes up like 5-10, and then also bang, your phone's just ringing. You're like,
because people want to get out and about, and like it's motivating.
Yeah.
I know the sun too. It makes you feel mentally stimulated. Like
Yeah.
you feel better, right? That vitamin D coming through.
how was your week?
My week, oh man, it has been a busy, exhausting week. There's been lots going on at the office. The sunshine has helped, like I just said. Lots going on at the office. There was a business conference digitally this week that I attended. Not work related, but kind of work related.
Okay.
In that, I mean, it's a business conference. I was the 10X Growth Con this week.
Okay.
So for the first time ever, it was free virtually. So I attended that virtually, kind of in the background while I was at work. Unfortunately, I'm not in a place where I can just take 3 days off and disappear, just to do that. So I had it on in the background. That was really good, but it has been a smoker of a week for sure.
Yeah.
I was actually sitting on the couch after dinner today. Just before I went outside, I had to do some things outside before I came to do the podcast. And my wife looks at me and goes, "Should you be doing a podcast tonight? Like you look smoked." So, but we're here, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. But before we went live, we were talking. You did a couple of new things this week, and
Yeah.
I was mentioning you're looking really good this week, and you're back on your goals. I mean, you never left them, but you're reinvigorated, I suppose, some new energy into them. So talk about all of that a little bit.
All right. So this week I joined a boxing class, and so that would be going to be going twice a week. That's
Nice.
going to be a whole new thing. It was, if you've ever boxed before, you're
Yeah.
going to know it's pretty intense. And like it's pretty intense for those who are in shape, like in good shape, right? Like
Yeah.
and like I can lift heavy weights, and I do that fairly well, right? Like and
Lacking in the cardio.
lacking the cardio, right? This is a lot of speed and cardio, right? So I tell you, I was 10 minutes in and I was drenched, and it didn't stop through the whole class. Like I think
Yeah.
yeah, it was pretty intense.
I
So
love
it
it.
was good, and it sounds noble that look, he wants to,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
doing this for whatever to get himself in better shape and join a boxing class. But the reality of it is, I lost a bet.
Hmm.
So not I didn't lose a bet. Sorry, that's not right. I didn't hit my goal.
Okay.
I didn't hit my goal, and
The
the
consequence.
consequence was I got to join a class. So, and I figured, a boxing class is something I'm going to be committed to. I'm going to do, and it's going to be addition to. It's sacrifice. Well, now that's 2 evenings a week that
Yeah.
I'm going to be going to this, right? So that's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
It means taking me out of something else for 2 evenings a week,
Yeah.
and so that's okay though. Like I'm committed to my goals, and I'm committed to
Yes.
growth and doing this. So that's going to be one of those things that's going to help
So,
me get there.
so was not hitting your goal, and then the consequence, the boxing class, was that sort of your trigger, I suppose, to go? I need to double down. I need to recommit. I need to.
Yeah, like I think
Again, let's be clear. You never stopped going for your goals.
no, I just didn't hit them right, and that just wasn't committed as much as I needed to be,
Yeah.
and so now switching that up and getting okay. I recognize this, and I looked into this a couple weeks ago when I realized I'm not hitting my goal because I was too far away from doing it.
Yeah.
And so it was like, okay, well, now we're gonna do this, right? So
Was it a physical health goal?
yeah, it was.
Okay.
Is I had to lose X amount of weight, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
And I didn't get it, so now we're doubling down. We're gonna increase it a little bit.
So the consequence was the boxing class, which is hard,
Hard,
right?
Yeah.
However, it's going to help
yes.
assist you in that goal.
Well, it's gonna drive me to get there a
Yeah.
little bit more, right? So now, what's the outcome of it? Is I have two guys that I we keep each other accountable, right?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, right? Is they're like, so what class are you joining, right? It wasn't,
They're
are you
calling,
going
they're
to do
calling
it?
you out.
Yeah, they're not, are you going to do it? It's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's what I'm going to do, right?
Yeah.
And so
You could have picked a knitting class.
I could have picked anything,
Yeah.
but I chose boxing because it's something I'm going to be interested in.
Yes.
You get to hit something, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And it's something that's going to definitely challenge me in an area that I'm probably one of my weakest is cardio, right? And that's
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah. Yeah.
a big push.
Well, when you're a bigger dude, I think it's one of those things where you just in your head you innately go, I meant to lift heavy weights, and you kind of ignore the cardio,
Yeah.
and that's just it, kind of thing, right? And so, like, I have a heavy bag at home. Like, you're like, oh yeah, you can stand in one place and hit the heavy bag for a
Yeah.
long time. Good flipping luck.
Yeah, I've got a 100-pound bag right there.
Like it,
And that's
it
it's not.
smokes you.
Oh, it does.
It
Yeah,
smokes
it's not a little thing. So joining that is going to be something I'm really looking forward to, and it's a motivating thing. And so
Just
even
so-
next
sorry.
next week I'm going again twice a week, like I said. It's
Yeah.
going to be.
You're gonna bring a towel to mop up the mess you
I
make?
was drenched 10 minutes in, and it was an hour-long class, and I was just like, my shirt, it was just like a big
Yeah,
loop, like you could see everything. It was just like, okay, well,
we're here.
yeah, we're here, we're showing up, and I didn't stop. Like I pushed myself, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the goal, right? And
Isn't it interesting as an adult? You could have just been a bee and gone, I'm out.
yeah,
Like I'm gonna sit on the sidelines for a minute.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like no one's gonna go. Well, maybe if it's a good coach, the coach is gonna be like, get your butt back in here. Like, what are you doing, right? But realistically, no one's going. Okay, you're not allowed.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's no accountability externally for adults unless we have good men around us, good people around us, good coaches,
Yeah.
things like that. I find that super interesting. So that internal fortification you have of like, no, I showed up, I'm paying for this thing. We're gonna go all in and push.
well, even there, the coach was like, "Hey, this is your first class. Go at your own pace. You don't have to feel like you have to go as hard as everybody else. Like we get it, right?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna go as hard as I can, right?"
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, there's some guys there that are like maybe late teens, early 20s, and they're going like, and they've been doing it for a while, and you
Yeah.
can tell, right?
It's not
So
the
it's
age
not that
thing.
I'm
It's
gonna-
not the age. It's the fact that they've been in it.
Well, yeah, like you could just see that they know what they're doing, right? And so there's an element of that. Then there's an element of like, well, doing exercise I haven't done before. So like my legs were like toast, like after
Yeah.
that 10 minutes, And then halfway through, my shoulder was like toast because I also just did chest day that day, so everything was already sore.
Yeah.
And then you go and throw in
And
a
then
full,
and then you go and
and
you
you're
gotta
holding
be,
your hands up the whole time, right? And just try to just hold your hands there for 5 minutes, like,
Yeah.
and then never mind doing the swings, right? Like it
Yeah.
plays a toll.
Guess what, guys? Your hands get heavy.
Especially when they're this big, like so.
Yeah.
But so now going one step further is so my accountability group.
Yeah.
We now have the next punishment planned out.
Good.
Well, this one I can't miss because it'd be too humiliating. Because what's going to happen is the guys who hit their goal get to go in the golf cart. The guys who miss
Have to walk it.
have to run a 5K,
Have to run a 5K.
and they're going to be video. And they're going to live stream the thing, right? So
First of all, I'm down to watch Jerry run his butt off in a 5K.
I'm not like so there's no way this.
Tell
this
your
one.
buddies I will ride in the back and I'll film. No problem.
I think I'd get like CTV out there. Or something.
Yeah. Just go all in.
There's no way this guy's going to do this. So let's
Embrace
watch,
the
right?
Storm live stream from the 5K that Jeremy has to run.
That would increase our following. For
Yeah.
sure.
but legitimately though, heck no.
Yeah.
So you have to hit your goal.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna be cheering Jared on to reach his goal, so he doesn't have to reach 5K. Or maybe there's a small sadistic part of me that goes, I kind of want to watch you win.
Yeah, I'm just gonna next time you're gonna show up like here's a blizzard, right? No, so but there's something to be said about having that accountability, and the guys who didn't just let me off.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you know what? It's been a tough winter. It's been a tough quarter. We get that it's been a struggle, and it was mentally a struggle. It was a struggle in many ways. So we understand that. So we're gonna give you that.
But still, we're gonna hold your feet to the fire and make sure you get after it.
Yeah, they were like, no, we understand that. Which class you taking?
Yeah.
Right. It was
100%.
no.
We understand you went through some stuff, but we're holding the line.
Yeah, but you still didn't do what you said you're gonna do.
100%.
So now go.
So I think for me, the interesting thing on that conversation, I mean, there's lots that I could pull out there, and we'll eventually get to our topic today, guys.
We'll get there.
But this idea, and this will tie into it a little bit, is how long it takes to get to your goals. But in macro, in retrospect, if you're going to look back, it doesn't take that long. Right?
No.
Like, and we talked about it on a different podcast, how where you and I are right now took us years to get there negatively, right? But we think that we should have the result tomorrow. And we're not just talking physically, in every area of life. And so what I've been really but working through mentally is, first of all, this idea that it takes a long time, or can take a long time. And number two is the actual commitment level it takes. The actual commitment level it takes. How early are you willing to get up?
Yeah.
Right? Tim Grover today, he says this in his books, but on stage, they say today, this week, Tim Grover, if you don't know who Tim Grover is, by the way, Google him, he's awesome. But he has this thing where he's like, are you invested or are you just interested?
Yeah.
Right? Are you committed or are you just interested? Because if you're just interested, you're not going to get up early. If you're just interested, you're not going to stay up late. If you're just interested, you're not going to put in the extra work.
Very true.
But if you're committed, doesn't matter what time you have to get up, you're going to get up. Doesn't matter how late you have to stay up, you're going to stay up as late as you need to and get the work done. Whatever the work is, right?
Yeah.
We'll put that in air quotes, the work, whether, again, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, whatever it is, business-wise. And so I've been really wrestling with that mentally of like, I'm committed, or so I thought.
Yeah.
Right? Like, in my mind, I was committed, but now I'm watching my coach and others around me who are actually committed.
100%. I think that's a very good point because, like, even in work, there's things I don't like doing. And so I'll put off and I'll procrastinate. And I know, the truth is, I know that if I would actually shut my bitch voice up
Yep.
and actually get to it,
Yep.
it would be that much, I'd get that much further ahead.
Yep.
And I know that, but yet, it's just like,
Yeah.
So it's
I love that. And the reason I love that is because I was just talking about this with my brother-in-law recently. We carpool and we were talking about this a little bit, completely unrelated. But something I was sharing with him was lately I've been working on my do it now muscle. Because I believe this whole like procrastinate, I can do it later, I'll do it tomorrow when it's nice outside or whatever is a procrastination thing, right? Like
yeah.
so I've been working on my just do it now muscle. Meaning like the other day my wife was like, you should go clean up poop. Because we have a dog in our backyard and blah 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 blah, right? If you own a dog, you know.
Yeah.
Winter sucks. So she's like, you should go do that while it starts to melt, right? And I do it periodically all winter long, so it's not that bad. I digress. But anyways, so I was like, I'll do it tomorrow because it's supposed to be warmer, right? Then in that moment I go, nope, we're gonna go do it right now. And I like snap to myself, and I stole that from Ed Milet because he like has this thing where he anchors with a
Right.
snap, right? And I don't know if that'll pick up on mic or not, but I'm snapping right now because it's just an anchor
Okay.
of like mentally a mental trigger, if you will, right? So I've been working on building my muscle of, hey Jeremy, I'm gonna go do a 5K tomorrow. Nope, I'm gonna do it right now. Right?
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna go run 5K. I don't.
I
know.
was gonna get
I
my
don't.
camera.
I don't. That would be something to see. People should pay to watch me try and run a 5K.
Well,
The gimp and the guy that's got no conditioning right now.
yeah. Right.
But I've been working on that
yeah.
because and just recently. So like, don't get it twisted. I'm still got a long way to go.
You're right.
But how many things do we do in a day where you're like, I'll just do it later.
Yeah.
So I'm mentally trying to go, no, now.
Yeah.
Right? And then I kind of saddle up and do it now.
Yeah.
But on that note, let's dive into our topic today.
Let's do it.
Because everything we've been talking about actually kind of ties into this topic.
It does.
So if you don't follow us on YouTube, you should go over to Brendan Volks on YouTube and subscribe to the podcast channel on there, Embrace the Storm. And I put out all these shorts,
Yes.
YouTube shorts, and we have one that's got 460 views on it. And it's this idea of men making themselves an island. And so our topic today is this idea that men make themselves an island and how the 5 key health indicators, shameless plug, find it on embracethestorm.ca, the 5 key health indicators for life, but how they tie in and how they matter and how we can get men off the island. Because I am chief operating officer of guilt on this one, where I make myself an island and I sit on my little island and I go, oh, woe is me. No one else has my problems. No one else can help me because they'll not understand. Which is, of course, mental junk. Complete crap.
Yeah.
Because most men have the same problems. Might be a different color,
Right.
but they're the same problems. And so we talked last time about how we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm just going to take a sip of coffee and let you riff.
All right. So yeah, like I think that's a important topic that I think we don't, as men, don't talk about is actually having conversations with other men, right? And to be at a place where it's so easy to think that, oh, we're all on our own, but to be at a place where we're like, you know what, I understand you're going through that. Maybe I can't relate 100%,
Yeah.
but I get an idea, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's where something like that accountability group I'm part of, right?
Yeah.
It's just me and two guys, but we hold each other up when we're going through things. It's like, hey, look, this is my struggle right now.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, hey, this is what I've noticed from your struggle. This is what I've noticed. Like, you've talked about this before, or, you know, okay, like, expand on that. Let's talk about that a little bit more, right? And sometimes it's insights like, you know, maybe you need to pull back a little bit. Like, that's where some of it came, and some of it's like maybe you need to push through. They will send like encouraging things like an Andy Frisilla thing or something, like, you know, like, or something like just to push through, right? And and then we'll send like it's a really good place where we can connect. Now it's still a degree of opening up. Like, you're still, even though like I trust these guys, I have no issue with that, but there's still some things where I'm like, you kind of get in your own head. It's like, man, I should have this figured out by now. Why am I struggling with this?
Yeah.
And yet, I haven't shared some of those things, but it's like, man, I need to get through this, right? And
So let's pause there for a
yeah,
second. Let's open that one up because that's my first point here. And as you can see on your side, Jared, I don't have all of these written down, but in my head I kind of had this running tab of things I wanted
yeah,
to sort of break down tonight. And the very first one, and so I love that it just naturally came out that way, is you got to find men.
right.
And not on Grinder. Uh, that's not where we want to go. But you got to find men you trust. You got
Yeah.
to find. You got to
I
find
wasn't
men.
expecting that.
You're welcome. Feeling punchy on a Friday.
Yeah, apparently.
The coffee's kicking in.
Yeah.
Coffee at 8 o'clock at night. But you have to find a group of men.
Yeah,
And you've got a group of two. There's three of you total.
yeah,
You know, I've got one as well. It's four of us.
yeah,
You know, like you don't need a giant group of people. You don't need 100 people. You know, the internet says you need one good mother trucker. You know,
Right.
and you can take over the world, kind of thing, right? And so you have to find a good group of men. And so let's talk. How do you find your group?
You know what? This one kind of established over time where we were like, it started off actually. I've known these guys since we were kids, kind of thing, right?
Okay.
And then I lost touch with them for 20 years or something.
Yeah.
And then also, like, we met, like, come across each other here and there, kind of like, oh, hey, how's it going, right?
Yeah.
And whatnot. And all of a sudden, a few years back, and we just started talking a little bit. And then when I got to real estate, I ended up talking to one of them, and I kind of started building more relationship with him.
Yes.
And then the other guy kind of started coming in. Those two were friends, right? More
Yeah.
so, and so also, and I've known this guy like
Yeah.
for years, right? So also we all started working
Yeah.
together a little bit more, and doing this and that, and started also we ended up spending a lot of time together,
Yeah.
and it's also like what we should actually prioritize is set up one night a month or one night every 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And so,
So you formalized a little bit,
yeah,
sort of, hey, we are going to have a group. We are going to do a thing. It is going to be some
Yeah.
sort of something.
yeah. So we took every other Monday night.
Yeah.
That's our night. Like, I don't let work come in the way of it. I don't let anything else come in the way of it. That is booked off. Somebody wants to see something, sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
That's my number one, right? So that's just the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's priority, right? And that's something, because as soon as you miss and try to reschedule, well, we're all busy people, so there's no way we're gonna do it.
Well, and it's a slippery slope, right? Oh, I missed one.
Yeah.
And so on and so
And so
forth.
we are booked, and we had one where there was holidays and there was stuff like that. Different story, right? Like that was already
You
booked.
just move it around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so we kept going, right? So that's kind of how it started. We went through a goal setting thing together,
Yeah.
and we started doing that, and out of that came like, so what's stopping you from hitting your goals? What are some of the
Yeah.
challenges, right? And so that really opened up.
So what you found, just to
Yeah.
break it down, what you found were two other men who were rowing in a similar direction to you with big goals, big dreams,
Yeah,
actually actively working on them.
yeah.
And y'all said, at least for this season, we're going to do it together.
Well, and that was it. Like we're like, hey, we're all kind of individually doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And so it was like, well, why don't we do it together?
Yeah.
Where we could hold each other accountable to some of it, right? And
Yeah.
so we do business together as well. We separate that from this night. We're not allowed to talk shop. Like, it's not work.
Yeah.
Nothing's allowed to come up.
So it's almost like a good marriage.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come home and just dump work on you.
Yeah.
That's
So it's extremely purposeful with that, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I love that. So my little group is three other guys, and I got it's sort of a longer story than yours, I guess, but essentially one guy went from one career to another and decided to do a book club. I joined. That book club went awesome. He decided to do another one. I joined, and that group became super small and ended up just being three of us. And then the fourth guy that has joined our group, I actually cold called him when I had my own firm, doing my own thing. I cold called him, and we just hit it off, became really good friends. And then he ended up doing some work. I think ended up doing some work with one of the other guys, and then we kind of had a brief little powwow of like, should we
Yeah.
include this guy? And so here we are 2 years later.
Is that how we met? Was that first book club? I
No,
think.
we met because of a different group
Okay.
that the same guy was trying to start.
Okay. Yeah.
Different group.
Right. Yeah.
So no, we met because of that other group,
Okay. Gotcha.
and then you and I just hit it off.
Yeah.
I have that effect, I guess, on people.
And then I left that group because it was.
Well, that group kind of fizzled. Like
Yeah.
it was something that was being tried. It kind of fizzled.
It was too big for me, I thought.
So we've got the four of us, and originally it was super structured, kind of like you. Like we meet
Yeah.
every single week in the morning. For a while we were doing books. For a while we weren't, but we were just chopping it up over business and life. And now we just have an open forum chat because seasons of life, right?
Yeah.
So that's how we met. And I'm gonna just segue here to a quick different story on the same topic here, on the same point. But the point that I'm trying to make with you, Jeremy, is, or with our audience, I guess, is this idea that these people don't have to already be in your circle.
Right.
They don't have to be people you knew from back in the day.
Right.
They
Yeah.
might be, but they don't have to be. They might be people you know, they don't have to be.
Yeah.
Like, don't be afraid to seek out new people in your life, because a lot of times you need new people in your life if you're going to new places.
And don't be afraid of old people either. Like, because like these guys, I haven't seen them
Yep.
in like almost 20 years, right? And then also it's like somehow, some way, like we just kind of got back together and just one thing led
Yeah.
to another and we just really hit it off. But we had a good relationship then and we just continued on, right?
And I think that I shouldn't fold my arms, but I think the interesting thing though too is putting yourself out there. And I was reminded of it this week. So I had someone we both know, and I won't call him out on here because I don't know if he'd like that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you after. But he sent me a DM and said, "Hey, do you want to grab coffee?" And you know me well enough. The audience at this point should know I like talking. Clearly, I have a podcast, but I'm like, absolutely, let's go grab coffee. Like, what are you up to? Who are you? Like, what's up? Meet new people. We had a phenomenal couple hours together. Great conversation. He thinks very much the same we do about leadership and self-development.
Yeah.
His walk with God is amazing right now, and his family is thriving. And so his business is doing really well. And so we just had this phenomenal conversation. And like, we left that conversation going, man, there are so many different roads we could have gone down.
Right.
We're going to have to hang out again.
Yeah.
Right. And so he reached out to me, but I was reminded on the drive home, this was last night, I was reminded on the drive home from coffee that when's the last time I reached out to somebody new, or somebody I haven't talked to in 20 years.
Yeah.
But someone new and just said, hey, you seem cool. You want to grab coffee? Because you never know.
You never know. Yeah.
Now, to piggyback on that though, let's quickly just touch on this. We don't have to go long. But if you're going to have coffee with someone for the first time to see if like you can build into each other as men, think of it kind of like dating. We're not going to unload on somebody the very first time we sit down and have a conversation. Okay? You don't need to open the kimono and show them everything
Yeah.
the first time, right? Like, we don't even know if we know each other or like each other or want to hang out and be friends. So just chill for a minute, get to know the other person.
Yeah. Just have a conversation. Just start off simple. Start off with.
Like, are you
Yeah.
married? Do you have kids? What do you do for work? Do you
Yeah.
enjoy it? This is me. Like, you don't have to dive into a messy divorce and a drinking problem and
Yeah.
whatever else you
Yeah.
got going
like,
on.
Just keep it simple, right?
And because if the relationship is going to be a fruitful one for both sides, you'll eventually get there.
Yeah. It'll naturally flourish, right? Don't try to force something that's not there.
Now, occasionally, you do meet a freak of nature, like Jeremy, like me, where very quickly, because we're open books,
Yeah.
very quickly, you were like, hey, here's some junk. I was like, hey, here's some junk.
Yeah.
And we were open fairly quickly.
Yeah.
But that's usually not the case.
Yeah. No, that's might be me to a fault almost because
Yeah. We don't have time for it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what, if you're gonna judge me on that, go ahead. Like, I obviously we're not gonna be the right fit, right? Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll move on from you just as fast, right? So
Yeah.
it's not that I don't whatever, but like care. It's just
Yeah.
that I'm not gonna waste my time with somebody who's gonna be using everything I say against me, right? Either. So
So you and I aren't that old, but we are old enough to understand time is short.
yeah,
We don't need to waste time on things that aren't going to work.
yes,
And that includes relationships,
yeah,
right? Now, I'm not saying you should go and get rid of your wife or significant other. That's not what I'm
no,
saying. What I am saying, though, is if we're going to find new friends, realize very quickly, oh, this isn't going to be good.
what kind of friends are you gonna find, and what are you hoping to get out of it, right? And
Yeah.
that's
And it's not like, hey, they have a nice Milwaukee tool set I need to borrow, right? That's not what we're talking about here.
doesn't hurt, but
Yeah, doesn't hurt. But I just wanted to make it very clear, like it's super important. You got to find other men that are rowing in the same direction you are. And if you're listening to this, hopefully it's because you want to go to a bigger place. You've got big goals and big dreams.
yeah. Well, and just honestly, like if you're getting together with somebody and they're just also like, woe is me, and everything's going whatever. You know what? You be there. You encourage them. You hope they challenge them. Maybe
Yeah,
you do what you can, but maybe they're not the right one to help to be hold you accountable, right?
yeah,
But you could be there for somebody else. So you could be there, and I'm not saying you just like, oh, you're not the right one for me. I'm gonna just ditch you. It's like, oh man, like that sucks. I hate to hear that. Like,
but how many weeks, how many days are they showing up with the same BS,
yeah,
right? Because that's sort of my litmus test is like, for example, because you've talked about it on here, so I'm going to bring it up.
yep,
Like you got divorced,
yep,
right? That isn't that was a story. It is not your story,
yeah,
right? And so if they're continually like, oh, I'm divorced, oh, I'm divorced, oh, like if it's a continual conversation, hey, dude, we're probably like much love, but we're probably gonna move on.
yeah. Like
You know?
that's all you're talking about. The one thing that happened
Yeah.
10 years
It's
ago.
like
Like,
it's like the
cool,
guy who
but
peaked in high school, you
yeah.
know, like so on that note,
Speaking of which, that is going to be exactly about the book I'm into now.
what are you reading?
Book on mental toughness by Andy
Oh
Frisella.
yeah.
So I finally got that one.
It finally came.
It finally came. It's
Nice.
just a few months, but yeah, no, it took a while to ship, but we finally got it. So I'm 4 chapters deep.
I
So
think they went through like 3 full semi-loads of books.
yeah, like, we ordered it, I think back when I think it came out January
Mm-hmm.
19th.
I remember you ordered it either just before Christmas or just after.
Just after, right when it came out, like we pre-ordered it before it came out,
Mm-hmm.
and then it all said and got shipped. Yeah, we just got it like a week ago. So I only got it. My accountability group got it, so we're all going through it.
Yeah,
And then I got the power list, which I got. So
I love that.
yeah,
I
so
love that.
anyway, that's a total side
I
note.
love, I
little-
love the power list. We will talk about that in a different episode.
Yeah.
Number two.
Yeah.
Number two on my list is noise, and we're going somewhere here, guys. So stick with us. So number one is you do need to find men.
Yeah.
But number two is the noise that's around you, right? We've talked about it before. The whole crabs in a bucket analogy, where if you're going to try and climb out of your bucket, your situation, if you're going to climb out, those around you in the world are probably going to try and pull you back down. And this is why you got to find great men around you, have great men around you. And if you can't find them, by the way, just as a side note, maybe you pay for a mentor. Find a mentor, pay for a coach,
Yeah.
right? Vet them, of course, but like maybe you have to pay to get around better people. Just throwing that out there. But anyways, getting back to the noise around you. So what I'm talking about here is a lot of this, right? The noise on this, the noise from others that are just they're happy with where they are in life. Maybe they're not happy, but you know, they're
Yeah.
just like, I'm just here. You know? You have to get super clear on what you want. Because if you don't get super clear on what you want and what your actual goals are, you're not going to be able to tune out the noise.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of our first episodes we talked about is knowing your why, knowing what your purpose is, and if you know that, you're gonna clear out the ones that are gonna be like could be a distraction, right?
Yeah.
Then you know these guys are not these guys are a distraction, don't want them. These guys are the direction I want to go.
Yeah.
there we go. These are the ones I want.
You should actually go listen to the first couple episodes we threw out there, guys, because we talk about editing your circle in one of them, and in the other one, it's actually called Brendan Finds His Why or something like that.
Yeah.
Because you took me through a why exercise. Again, I joke about this, but for real, you almost made me cry a couple times. We go through that exercise. So if you're not familiar with that, go check it out because it will help you. But if you don't know where you're going or why you're doing things, you're going to succumb. You're going to get influenced by the noise around you, and you're not going to move forward. And no amount of good men around you is going to change that.
Yeah, and even there, like you're gonna really focus where there's people in my life that are close to me and my kids and such, and I love them and everything else.
Yeah.
But they'll give my kids advice, and I will tell them quietly, tell my kids quietly, it's like, don't listen.
Yes.
Like that is bad advice. Don't like. So it's not.
That's like in the car on the way home, kind of.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? Their intention was good.
Yeah.
But they just don't understand.
Yeah.
They're just at a different place in life.
They're saying it out of love.
Yeah,
And you talked about this on a different episode.
Yeah, it's the truth is they are saying it out of love, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they just don't know. So okay, so this is why, and I'm like, and this is my point of view now. It may change as we go.
Yeah.
And but right now, this is better than that.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that much. And so by doing that, I also limit the people I'm around, because I don't want some of that, because I don't want that creeping into me, because that's comfortable. This is not, right?
That's a good word. Creep.
Yeah.
Like it's not like you go from focusing on your goals to not focusing on your goals. There's a creep that happens.
Yeah.
Where it's the people around you, the noise around you, it's the hitting the snooze button one too many times, it's the not holding the line and not going to the class.
Yeah.
All of these things. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
It creeps.
Slowly.
Right? Like we see this with a lot of fitness journeys where somebody will lose 20, 30 pounds, look phenomenal, feel phenomenal, and then all the holidays. So then they get after it a little bit.
Yeah.
And that weight doesn't just boom, they're back. It slowly creeps.
The creep, yeah.
Right? And that creep happens in every area if we're not careful.
Yeah.
And so that's actually perfect. Well done.
Yeah.
Because the next thing I want to talk about is, so you figure out what your why is, you work on finding men, you keep out the noise, you work on the creep. How do you do that? Well, the 5 key health indicators for life. That's what I've coined them. That's what I call them. They're on the website, embracethestorm.ca. You can go check them out. But really quickly, they are physical health, spiritual health, mental health, relationship health, and business health. Now, business health doesn't mean you necessarily own your own business. It's what are you doing to make money and move forward.
Yeah.
And the reason why these are so important, I mean, we could do a whole episode on each one. But once you figure out what your why is and you understand there's noise around you, creep around you, how are you going to keep all of that moving forward, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's to go internal, to work on your physical fitness, to work on your relationship with God, to work on your relationships with your significant other and your kids, to work on the relationship with the new men in your life.
Yeah.
To work on moving your career forward, not just staying stagnant, right? And then what are you reading? What are you putting in your brain?
What are you focusing on?
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you start just focusing on that, you can keep the noise out. You can keep the noise out, almost like a force shield. You know?
Yeah.
Because anytime recently that things have gotten me a little chaotic, I just revert back and I go, where do I need to be working on? And it's not because I'm off kilter necessarily. It's just, we're going to read something now because I just need to change the frame.
Yeah.
I need to stop with the noise.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if you're thinking about this, talk about, because you just ranted on Andy Frisella's new book, right?
Yeah.
We just talked about you taking a boxing class, right? I know you've done a ton of work in your relationship over the last year, right? Your business, you are, God bless you, trying to figure out systems to move you forward, right? So talk for a minute to the audience a little bit about how has focusing on the 5 key health indicators, which I know you don't call them, I'm going to get you there.
Yeah.
But how has focusing on those helped with staying true to your goals, your why, getting rid of the creep and the noise in your life?
Well, I think starting off with physical health, right? Now, this is going to the gym has been one of the biggest things for me.
Mm.
That helps me in probably all the rest, right? Especially the mental health, right? Because
Yep.
just going and just working out my frustration when I feel it, working out just my sometimes when you're feeling overwhelmed and you just burn yourself out, pushing something heavy, doing something, and also it you feel like, hey, I actually achieved something. I
Yes.
get wins, I got victories,
Yes.
I get to do things that I haven't done before, right? So those are also positives, right? Uh, so that's something that really has helped.
So you're creating wins.
Yeah, creating wins,
Yeah.
right? So, and you're also learning failure
Yes.
because failure is one of the biggest things that we. It's a bad word. No, it's not. Failure is one of the best things we can learn to do, right?
Jeremy went for 4 plates on either side and it just didn't work out
Yeah,
for him.
Jeremy got crushed. No, no, but like it's the whole thing of like, do we fail? Do we win?
Yeah.
And the gym is an excellent teacher of learning to fail, right? Because you go till failure, you
Yes.
do till you can't
I
do
think
anymore, right?
I
So,
think the reason why so many people love the gym, and we've talked about this, I don't really like the gym, but I do enjoy working out ish because it's immediate feedback.
yeah,
And some of these other ones, like your mental health, relationship health, and business health, you don't necessarily get immediate feedback,
right,
right? Whereas in the gym, can you lift the weight or can't you?
yeah.
Can you run the mile or can't you?
But you also notice one thing that you could take what you learn in the gym to all aspects of life. And a key example of accountability, if I'm going to the gym and let's say I'm going to load up the bar,
Yeah.
I'm going to do a bench press, right?
Yeah.
On my own, I did 300. When I had accountability there, when I had somebody with me, I did 315. Right? But I did 300 by myself after I've done the 315 with them. Before that, I was at 275. And then I went up to
Yeah.
315.
Well, it's
Now I felt by myself could do 300.
so don't quote me on the times.
Yeah.
But it's the 4 minute mile. Nobody could run a 4 minute mile
Right. Yeah.
until the one guy ran the 4 minute mile. And then guess what? Everybody could run the 4 minute mile.
Yeah.
Again, don't crush me in the comments too bad if I'm getting my times wrong here, but the point is that nobody could do it until somebody did it.
Yeah.
You couldn't pick up the 315
No.
until someone was there going, dude, I can pick up 3.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But that's the physical one. Spiritual, one of the things I've grown a lot in this is just actually picking up the Bible and reading
Yes.
through it and saying,
I'm in the same boat.
and just reading it, right? Like I said at the beginning of the year, I started on Joshua, right? And I
Yes.
think I'm in Joshua 16 now. Like it's taken me till now to get there.
You're just chewing on it.
I'm just going slow. I'm just going through it. Some of it, and then I've taken like Easter. I went through the Easter story a little
Yeah.
more, but like for the most part, I from the beginning of the year to now, I maybe took like a week
Yeah.
total of days
Yeah.
on something else. But my focus has been just slowly going through and really and figuring that out and taking that and applying it to my life, right? And seeing it, how does this apply? Not just reading it like, oh, that's good that God did that for them, but okay, so what does that mean for me?
That action piece is so important.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I've been working on mentally this last couple of weeks for myself is I'm reading or listening, as the case may be, with podcasts or books.
Yeah,
Am I actually taking that and applying it, taking action on it into my life?
yeah,
Right? And for a lot of it, the answer has been no. And so this last week, I'm really trying to go, I heard this in a podcast. I'm going to try and apply it.
right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's hard to change.
It is, but just simply that. But going back to the spiritual is the aspect of, okay, so this is what they did. This is what the reaction was.
Yeah.
What is the theme in this? And it's like, wow, like I've never seen this happen. Like I've never seen.
Yes.
I've read this before, but I've never understood it like this before. Because now I'm actually knowing how it applies to me now.
Yeah.
And that's a game changer in. It's like the Bible's coming alive to me in a whole new way that I've never experienced. And keep in mind, I have a BA in pastoral ministry, so it's not like I don't know the Bible. Like I've studied
Yeah.
this, right?
Relationship with God in the Bible versus knowing the Bible, at least in my opinion, are two very different things.
Yeah, and like before I've read it, I understand. Now I'm almost like experiencing it in a
100%.
different way, right? So that's something that's really been meaningful to me, right?
Yeah.
And so that also means now I'm going through different challenges, right? But I'm also getting that.
Yeah.
Here's how, because you're in this challenge, because you're in the season. Here's how this works, and here's how we got to go through,
Yes.
right? And so it's kind of been instructional, like for me to really work through that, right? So
But I think it trickles down, and because we're slowly coming on time here.
yeah,
I was watching for once,
yeah,
but it slowly trickles down. So this is my opinion, and I'd love to get your hot take on this. Is when you're working on your physical health, when you're working on your relationship with God, those are you things.
yes,
Your mental health, mostly you reading books, what you're putting in your brain. Because,
yeah,
and the reason I have it separated there is so important to me is because what I've realized for myself is what you put in your brain matters.
yes,
The messages you put in your brain matter, whether it's reading, listening, those you're around, it matters.
yeah,
Seeds plant, right? As a man thinketh by James Allen. You can plant a deadly nightshade plant next to a beautiful flower, and both are going to grow, but one is not good for you, right? So what you plant will grow.
yeah,
But it all trickles down. So if you're taking better care of yourself, it's going to show up in your relationships,
yeah.
right? If you're pushing yourself forward, it's going to show up in your relationships.
And even in your mental health, it's going to show up there, right? Because you're going to be like, you
How
know
much
what?
better do you feel after you lift some heavy weight or you do some cardio?
Oh,
And then, I mean, in the moment we hate it, of course.
yeah.
But afterwards, you're elated. You're like, yeah, I'm going to go crush it.
I don't notice it as much until the days where I don't do it.
Oh, yes.
Then it's like those days off, and one day a week,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I'm taking this. It's Sunday or whatever, whatever your day is off, right? And okay, so I didn't go to the gym today, and that's fine. And also, like at the end of the day, I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, I got like 5,000 steps or 10 or 7,000 steps, and I'm like, but I didn't get to 10, right? And I didn't get my
Yes.
steps. It's like, and I'm like, okay, so what did I do today? Like, you kind of miss that aspect of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And,
For me, because it just sort of the way my day goes, like I'm at 5,200 right now.
okay,
Okay. And usually I try and be like 6, 7, right? And then the odd day, just because the way my day goes, if it's like 2,300, I'm like, what the heck happened today?
yeah, yeah,
You know? But moving on from that, I want to get your take on this. But one of the things that all of these things have added up for me is showing up in my business health, in my career, is not so much making me more money, which it has, but it's this idea that I know my self-worth more now. I have more self-confidence now because I've worked on all these areas, because I've gotten good men around me,
yeah,
because I've worked really hard, which by the way, my biggest struggle is the noise, the creep, right? Because I'm a people pleaser. I want to say yes to things. So my biggest thing has been getting rid of that creep in my life. And then I kind of want to make a shirt that's like creep. And it's like old school, like
yeah.
bad movie kind of B movie vibes with the creep, you know?
Or they're gonna think of the song.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that one.
Yeah.
But anyways, what it's helped me realize is my self-worth more than it's made me more money, again, which it has.
Yeah.
But that's really dialing all those things in has really built my self-confidence, which again shows up in all those other areas.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Building that self confidence in that, right, is the best way, I think, and I'm learning this more and more, is to stop listening to lies that you're hearing.
Yes.
Like even stop believing some of the past lies that you've been told.
Yeah.
Right?
Rewrite that story.
Rewrite that story. That's something that I really realized is for many years I believed a lie that I've been told, and it's like, oh, wait, that's not, it's not, that doesn't have to be true, right? It's true right now because I'm believing it, right?
I think next podcast we should actually unearth some of those lies.
All right.
Because I've got one that I deal with daily,
Okay,
and we should talk about it.
let's do it.
So there's a spoiler for y'all.
Now you know what's
Tune in
coming.
next time.
Now we even know what's coming.
Now, yeah, yeah, that's right. But I think that as we wrap here, what I want to say is, men, if you listen to this and you don't have a group to plug into, a group that actually is moving forward, because we've all got those buddies that are just sitting around in the garage drinking beers.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's always a good time, especially when it's nice outside
It's
and
fun.
all that stuff. For sure, it's fun, but it's not actually moving you forward. And so if you don't have a group, don't be afraid to go find one. If you don't have a group, that scared me.
Yeah.
If you don't have a group, the jump's gonna show up on camera. So if you're listening to this, go check out the video right towards the end of the podcast.
You hear the bang. And, yep.
But if you don't have a group, DM me and let's create a virtual group.
Well, I was just gonna ask, why don't you create one now?
And
Like,
that's exactly what I'm calling out here is we're gonna create a group, WhatsApp, Facebook, Telegram, something. I'll figure that out. But I want you guys to DM me and let me know that there's a group. And I'll put it on socials that I'm gonna put a group together for anybody that's interested.
yeah.
And I'll come up with something cool. Like once a week, we'll do a video or something like that. And when I say we, probably me, because you now have committed to boxing and other things.
I keep taking on more because why not?
Because why not?
Yeah.
You got the time. But legitimately, guys, we
But I'll
love
join
you.
the group too. So.
We love you. We want you to find better men, more men, and stop being an island. Stop being an island. The biggest lie you can tell yourself is nobody else understands what I'm going through.
Or that you're not good enough.
Or that you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I feel every day, this is one of the lies, I feel every day I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
But then I talk to a guy like you, or I talk to some of my other guys that I've decided, that's another thing, decide. I've decided to surround myself with.
Yeah.
And I'm reminded, no, I'm a man of value. And so you are a man of value if you're listening to this. You do matter. Reach out. Let's move forward together because you have to move forward always. We love you. We're out.